everyone. Welcome to 100. We made it. 100 episodes. I can't believe it. 2 years later, we are live now on YouTube. It's crazy. It's exciting. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a long journey. So yeah, we appreciate everyone sticking through with us. I mean, Gabe, thanks for sticking with me for these 100 episodes.
My pleasure. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've talked a lot about a whole bunch of different things, a lot of different topics, had great guests. So a lot to look back on.
Yeah. And we'll spend some time, I think, looking back on some of our first 2 years, 100 episodes, and reflecting a little bit on that. But for anyone signing in or tuning in, watching us live right now, thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. There is one thing I want to show and run, which is going to be pretty cool. I think it's a small little video that was put together. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share that with everyone.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay, 1 second. Let me load. I should have had it preloaded, but I failed to do that. So 1 second. Let me see how I do this. I've never shared a video live. Yes, we should. We should definitely do that. Was it the dream ending or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. I'm sharing up in. I'm going to share a video, share with sound. Okay, so this, I reached out to some of our past guests that, we've had on Pop Cult X here over the past 2 years. And some of them came back to me and they we made this cool little video, which I thought was really cool because, I made it. So of course I'm going to think it's cool, but here, this is for everyone. And I'll share this, of course, on our social medias, but check this out.
Hey, this is Fred Greenhalgh. I am the creator of the podcast Undertow and a bunch of other cool fiction podcasts for Realm, and just saying happy 100 episode anniversary, Pop Cult X. That is a huge accomplishment. Excited to see what you do next. Good luck out there. Bye.
Hey, I just wanted to say congratulations to Danny and the rest of the Pop Cult X crew. Congratulations on 100 episodes. I was very proud to have been a part of the journey so far, and I can't wait to see the next 100 episodes.
Hey Gabe and Danny, this is Adam with the Paranormal Polynesian Travel, and I just wanted to say congratulations on 100 episodes with Pop Cult X. I'm so excited for you guys, and I can't wait to see what you do in the next 100 episodes. So, congratulations, you guys deserve all the success in the world.
Congrats, Pop Cult X, on 100 episodes.
Congrats, Pop Cult X, on 100 episodes. Yeah.
Happy 100th episode, Pop Cult X. Keep going, keep doing it. You're doing great.
Yo, this is Ricky here from Wall of Sound in Australia, and I'm here to congratulate Pop Cult X on their 100th episode. Huge fucking thing. You guys are awesome, and just keep doing what you're doing. Peace out.
Yeah, so that was really cool for people to come on and say congrats to us. So it's because it's been a fun ride, and each of those people that we just saw were past guests of Pop Cult X. So while we're talking about past guests, let's take a look back. Gabe, is there any past guests that you had like a favorite moment of or most memorable for you?
I think one of the most memorable for me was my interview with Ashley Nell Tipton from Project Runway, winner of Project Runway. It was probably the very first interview that I did for Pop Cult X, and I was super nervous. Ashley is a super chill, nice woman, and so there was really nothing to be afraid of. But I just remember being so nervous approaching her and interviewing her. But very quickly, as I started to interview her and have a conversation, I knew there was nothing to be afraid of. We were basically just having a conversation and recording it for all of our friends and listeners out there. But that sticks out to me as the first interview that I ever did. And it was a lot of fun. We talked about fashion, about Project Runway, about what she's up to here in San Diego and what the future held for her. And so that sticks out to me for that particular reason. But how about you?
Oh, well, there's been many favorites and many memorables. I think one of my most, I wouldn't say my favorite, but one of the most memorable ones for me was speaking to Justin Showell, because he was one of the actors from Hamilton that I saw here in Vegas. And so I reached out to him through social medias, and it was, because seeing him on stage and then getting to talk to them in person was something, a little different than, usual, because it just felt different. I don't know. So it was really cool hearing his story, and because, that's something that I've always wanted to do, be up there on stage. Maybe that's why that was like the most memorable for me. But yeah, that stood out a lot to me. Now you mentioned something. So you said you were really nervous, right, going into it, and I get nervous too back then as well. Has it changed at all for you going forward when you approaching different interviews now that we're more seasoned, more veteran, I guess?
Absolutely. I think that the big difference was initially I was nervous because here I am on a podcast doing something very new for me, interviewing someone. But now I've come to look at it like I'm meeting someone new. I'm getting to get to know them, and I'm just having a conversation with them on my podcast. And so it's just a different approach, and something that I've come to enjoy. We've had the privilege to be able to talk to people a variety of different topics. I mean, you saw Adam Taula in the package that you put together, and we talked about paranormal activity with him. I mean, we talked about ghosts and haunted places all over the world, and then the next week we're talking to someone about comics and writing for comic books. And so it's just, we've been very fortunate to be able to have people from all over the broad spectrum of what is pop culture, and be able to talk to them about what they do.
Yeah, definitely. I think you hit it on the nail there with that we're having a conversation, and it's not just like a typical interview for like a magazine or a question answer period, this is, I think, how I approached it at the beginning. Was I had like a set of questions that I had to ask, and this was going to be like this high-end journalism type thing, interview. But as we evolved and progressed, I felt that having a conversation with them and getting more into who they are was a better way of approaching it. I saw Kevin Hart does his thing. It's called like Heart to Heart, where he sits down with famous people, and he does something similar where he talks to them and just has a conversation. And it's not really, I mean, I'm sure he has a few set questions, but it's really just, getting to know the people and just having a conversation with someone. And what can be more personable than that?
Yeah. And I think of like people that we've interviewed that I've been able to meet in person, like Ed Luce, I have met a couple different conventions, and
Maria Wolf.
It's just like getting to know someone in real life, and getting to know them here on this podcast, and to be able to reach people all the way, like for example Ricky that we had in Australia. I mean, how fortunate are we that we have been able to interview people that are from all over the world. And people have been able to listen to us all over the world. But that was a great reminder that, we've reached people all the way down under.
Yeah, we have really gone global. I mean, Australia, when looking at some of like of our analytics or whatever, I see some people from Germany, Ireland, Canada. So it's Pop Cult X is universal.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
I think speaking with comic book writers and artists has been really fun for me, especially as I'm no longer a newbie into the comic book world. I think I went and dropped like about like 10 back issues of A-Force that I found. So I'm in depth with the comic book world. No, now I'm no longer a newbie, but getting to talk to these people who create this artwork that I'm devouring has been really fascinating for me to find, how they draw from their personal experience and translate it into the superhero world is quite interesting.
Yeah, and the other aspect of it is not only getting to know them within the realm that they work in. So, for example, comic books, but to be able to talk to someone like Terry Blask, who then talks about his passion for things like RuPaul's Drag Race or politics or representation in movies. We were able to sit down and talk to him about the sequel to Black Panther and talk about Namor and how important it is for Chicano people to be able to see ourselves reflected in pop culture. So that's really neat is be able to get to know them like in the ins and outs of those people, not just the field that they're working, but what kind of music do they listen to? What kind of movies do they like listening or watching? What do they read? What do they devour? Because they're fans of pop culture just like us. That's a lot of times what has pushed them into the media that they work in, is that they're fans of pop culture as well.
Definitely. Even last week with Jing Xiao and his telling us about the Who, which is that Mongolian throat heavy metal fusion band. So I looked them up and they're quite good. They're really cool. And just stuff like that, and when I think pop culture, I also think fusion as well. So mixing genres, pulling in The Simpsons are really great at doing this, pulling in from music, from sports, and putting them all together. And so that's what I think pop culture is to me. And I'm glad that our show can reflect that as well, because we do pull from a multitude of genres.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've kind of reflected about some of our past guests and some of the past shows that we've had. We've talked about a lot of different topics within the last 2 years. Is there anything that you remember that was sort of a hot button topic that you remember being really passionate about, or anything that sticks out to you that was oh yeah, I remember that episode. We really, debated about that particular topic.
I'll have to reflect on that. I mean, I know for sure, we did 2 episodes where we covered this, and it was the Chris Rock Will Smith slap, and because I think was for me pop culture moments since we started the show, that's probably got to be near the top of that list, because it's so talked about in so many different circles for so many different reasons, and there's so many different takes on it and sides on it. That's probably got to be the most notable, I would say.
It's funny that you bring that up, because that was going to be my number one topics that we've discussed. When kind of thinking back over the last 2 years of thinking about pop culture moments, I think nothing was so controversial, so a hot topic as quote, the slap at the Oscar Awards. I mean, even at the most recent Oscar Awards, they're still talking about it, and we probably still will be talking about it for many years to come, because it changed the whole landscape of award shows. It changed the landscape of comedy.
Yeah.
How far can you take a joke without having to face the repercussions of someone trying to physically assault you? So we've had comedians like Jose Sardui on our podcast. We asked him, are you worried about what the audience reaction is going to be when you tell a joke? Fortunately for him, I think he strays away from that type of humor. However, it definitely is something that you have to think about. And so that for sure was, for me, the number one topic that we had over the last 2 years, was that had far-reaching implications all over the place, because it was comedy, it was acting, it was what does Hollywood accept as a fan? How much do you accept over someone that you like, or that you are a fan of? What is, what's too much? What line can they cross before you start to say, okay, that was too much, I'm no longer a fan of theirs? And of course, on Chris Rock's behalf, comedy can be kind of a dangerous thing now.
Yeah, definitely.
That we actually see eye to eye on that. That was the example that I was actually going to bring up as well.
Another, I wouldn't say it's a moment, but more like a phenomenon, would be the Ted Lasso effect. I think that has reached far and wide and not just with the show itself, but outside the show. Think to just recently, some of the cast members were invited to the White House to talk about mental health.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a important topic that the creators, Jason Sudeikis, Bill Lawrence, have stirred up and created and allowed for a conversation about mental health to happen in a more, I don't want to say safe environment, but a more environment where more accepting environment, I guess. Because like for me, like I said back then, is I wasn't, I thought shrinks. I thought, oh yeah, who needs them? Therapists, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't really matter. But since watching that show and subsequently Shrinking, the new show by Bill Lawrence, and realizing that it's not just mental health, and therapists aren't just for those people who are in the severe level of need, that it can be for anyone who might have a problem that they maybe just need advice that they can't figure out, And so I really thank those creators for creating that platform and giving mental health a not an uplift, but more like just a more notable voice in the pop culture world.
Right. And I think it speaks to the importance of pop culture. A lot of people can think of pop, either pop music or pop, books or comic books, things of that nature, to be something that's really frivolous. But the creators of material or of art can really shine a spotlight on really important things, just as you were speaking of. We just recently interviewed the writer and director of Chang. I always forget the title. Chang Can Dunk. And that movie in itself, speaks to a lot, even though it's a pop, it's like a pop teen film, but it talks about bullying. It talks about the importance about a relationship between a mother and a son, coming of age. So there's a lot of really important topics that really had come into play when we talked to him about that, and he was able to reflect about how he looked to his relationship with his mom for some inspiration, and himself growing up as an Asian American young man in America, and so I think that really speaks to the importance of pop culture. That it is really, it's not a frivolous thing. It can be, and it can just be eye candy, ear candy, but it can also be something that's really important for people, for them to be able to get things off their chest, for them to express themselves, and really for their enjoyment as well. I mean, there's a lot to be said about listening to a pop song that just makes you feel good, right? At the end of the day, it just helps you feel really good. And that's really cool that music has the ability to change your mood and make you feel better at the end of the day. So I don't know. I'm a really big fan of pop culture. I will justify it to anyone who wants to listen, or argue about to anyone who say that maybe pop films or pop radio, pop music is not something that should be taken seriously, because I definitely think that it should be.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, I kind of have to agree. No.
The last 2 years has been a whole lie. What?
We're taking the wool off from my eyes. No, I mean, it is. I mean, when we first started, I think the very first episode. Actually, I take that back. We did, if you remember, before we started our episodes on Pop Cult X, we did a audio only episode, I think it was called Stereo, an app called Stereo, and I was thinking about that recently. I was like, you know what? How we migrated from that to where we are now. And it has been just through the evolution of pop culture and how we see the world. And I think our viewpoints, I was talking to Tori King, who couldn't be with us tonight. She hosts Talking TED with me. And she says she watches or listens to us every day or every episode at the gym while she's working out. So, just to have that, I don't know where I was going with all this, but it's the age. I lost track of where my idea was going when I first started. But just the fact that we are using pop culture and our viewpoint to help, tell stories and entertain people. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think it is really fun that at the end of the day, hopefully we have helped entertain people, or maybe spark debate with someone that may agree or disagree with us on any of the number of different topics that we've talked about. Having said that, what about the future? Where do you see what about for Pop Cult X? Where would you like to see us move into as far as any topics, any one that you would like to interview? Where does the future lead us?
The future is in our hands. No, where we're going though, I would like to see us continue to have great conversations with many creative people from any genre. I haven't put a limit or a filter on anyone who we interview yet. So I hope that continues. And I would like to see us, even if I picture it like this. So Pop Cult X, I picture is like our brand, right? And this is like our main show. In an ideal world, could envision us bringing in different hosts to create shows under that umbrella. So let's say there's someone who has a very keen take on like sports or something like that, or within the pop culture realm. Maybe they have a different show on our channel. Something like that, where we're branching out. So it really is a pop culture to the power of X. Like I've been trying to, tout for weeks now. So maybe it's just not you and I. Maybe we bring in different hosts to bring those different shows to life. So Pop Cult X is the brand, and we have different shows underneath that. That's just an idea.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm going to think more selfishly about people who I would like to interview.
Okay.
I'd like to see, someone like Jim Lee, who is an artist, creator within Marvel and DC Comics that I would love to have on the show.
Hold on, so you're going to manifest a list of people we want to see within the next 100 episodes. Gotcha. Right. Let's do that.
Right. So Jim Lee would definitely be on there. Some of my favorite artists we've already had on the show, but Phil Jimenez is another one that I really respect, who is a Latino artist that famously works on a lot of Wonder Woman stuff. Big fan of X-Men as well. As far as it comes to film, I would love to get the new Blue Beetle on our show, the actor that's going to be playing Blue Beetle. We just saw the trailer the other day that was released, and it looks amazing. So I would love to have anyone of that cast to be on the show. And then when it comes to comedy, we've done a lot with comedians. Why not have someone like Gabriel Iglesias come on the show and talk about comedy? I think that would be great.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Blue Beetle, let me just touch back on that real quick, was an awesome trailer. I'm more Marvel, but that trailer looks super. It looks like so much fun. It looks like kind of like if they were to take a superhero and put him into the set or the universe of the show Acapulco. So it gives me that kind of vibes, which is great, because Acapulco, which is now filming season 3, is a great show. So I'm looking forward to that. Palmera City is where that's supposed to be located. And a little hint for those people watching or listening right now, tune in next week. We might be talking with Josh Trujillo, who's writing the Blue Beetle Graduation Day series right now. So that writer right there for what Gabe's holding up, tune in next week. We're going to be having a great conversation with Josh, now that I've spoiled that, but tune in next week as well.
So what other guests would you like to see on the show? If you could,
goodness. For me,
and get someone on here.
If I could get anyone or top 3, I would love to chat with Jason Sudeikis. I'm reaching for the stars here, because why not? Jason Sudeikis, I would love to chat with him about his career, about creating Ted Lasso, about how his life has grown beyond just the film and entertainment industry because of the show. I would love to chat with like Rosario Dawson. She's been one of my favorite for a long time, and she also does a lot of advocacy and has her fingerprints throughout the whole pop culture world on many different things. And the third person, goodness, that's a great question. There's a writer that I like. His name is Ernest Cline. He's a writer, author of Ready Player One and Ready Player Two and Armada and a few other books. And I would love to chat with him just to pick his pop culture brain.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I thought of someone, because we haven't really had anyone that really differs from our perspective, as far as someone that has we stay away from politics, so we're not going to have a really big debate on Pop Cult X. But I started thinking, if there was someone on here that could be like, maybe I would want to question Zach, the host from Ghost Adventures, the show from Las Vegas. I think he has his little museum of.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think his name is Zach. Yeah,
Zach, and he's on Ghost Adventures. I'd love to have him on here and say, you've been doing this show for, I don't know. I think he's been doing it for like 10 years, and he still has no proof that ghosts exist. Like, what keeps you going? What is your motivation outside of the money that keeps breaking in and like laughing all the way to the bank? But where is the proof? Where is the picture? Where is the video? Where is the audio of a ghost? Because I have yet to see any show that I'm like, clearly they captured a ghost. So I would love to be able to talk to him and be like, what keeps you going when no one has been able to prove definitively that ghosts exist? What keeps you going out there outside of, money?
Well, I think you just answered it, but that's a good question. I mean, we can reach out to him if anyone knows or has any proof of life after death.
Just so that I can insult him to his face.
I'm gonna bring him on the show so you can say you suck. No, you're a liar.
It would be really interesting to have someone that does something similar to Adam that is out there doing paranormal investigations. That's something that really interests me, that we've sort of lightly touched on but haven't really delved that deep into it. But that's something that I would like to maybe see us get into a little bit more.
That is true. I mean, if you think about ghost hunting and paranormal activity and stuff, that really is a sect of pop culture, right? It really has its own corner in the pop cult universe. So, I mean, within that universe is quite big, right? Because there's so many different people doing so many awesome things within there. So I think having that would be really cool. So that's something that we will definitely investigate. Look into.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I can reach out to some people. I can do that. I would love to.
We had someone that had a horror museum in Vegas. That was one of our first shows, wasn't it?
Yes, that's true. He has the horror movie museum out in Boulder City. So it's not, it's like a 20, 30, no, probably a 40-minute drive from Vegas. And that is Tom, goodness, can't think of his last name. But yes, we had him on, and he's doing really good things. He has lots of cool events that I always get notified of. And every Christmas, I know they do something, and they also do something special for Halloween, but it's open year round. And yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, we have to definitely get in. At my old age, like all the memories are starting to come back to me.
As soon as we log off, you'll be like, no, I forgot that one.
Yeah.
I would love to chat with more musicians on the show. So I always reach out to different bands. If you know of anyone who's in a band out there, or musician that wants to like come on our show, maybe, tout your own upcoming releases, your upcoming projects, reach out to us. But I always reach out to bands that I like. I know this year at the Life is Beautiful Festival, the Killers are headlining, because of course, it's the 10-year anniversary of Life is Beautiful, and the Killers, of course, being a Vegas local band. So, and Life is Beautiful happens in Las Vegas. So just, kind of tying it all together. But I'll reach out to them again, because, why not? I'm a huge fan of the Killers. But yeah, I would love to chat with musicians. They're one of the favorite group of people to talk to and be in a room with when they're creating stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's just, go ahead.
As like summer's coming, I'm starting to buy tickets to go see a lot of concerts. And it's funny, you can tell my age based off of who I'm going to go see, because I'm going to go see the Smashing Pumpkins, Garbage, The Cure. I think, did we get tickets for Depeche Mode? I don't know. But it's like all groups that like clearly I'm from Gen X, like that generation, because especially Smashing Pumpkins, I remember listening to them daily during the 90s. Like that was one of my favorite bands. And Siamese Dream was one of my all-time favorite albums. And now going to go see them play live, it's going to be really interesting, because it's going to be a bunch of old guys like me in the audience. And they had tickets available in the pit. And I'm like, is there really going to be a pit at the Smashing Pumpkins? Like, I think it's just going to be a bunch of old people standing around. I don't know if it's going to
be, oh, my back.
Yeah, they're going to be blowing their back out for sure.
Did you ever jump into a pit in your younger days? Okay.
Yeah, I think that System of a Down had a pretty gnarly pit that I can kind of remember. Well, who else? God, there was a lot of rock bands that I saw back in the day. Even some like Spanish rock bands that I saw had some pretty gnarly mosh pits. I remember Los Fabulosos Cadillacs. They're a band from Argentina. I went to go see them in Phoenix at the God, what is the venue called? I forget what the name of the venue is, but it's a pretty small theater, celebrity theater. And I remember getting kicked in the back of the head because someone was like jumping into the crowd behind me. But yeah, I remember definitely Hole.
Nice.
Who else? God, Sonic Youth. Tons and tons of alternative bands that I saw definitely had pits going. Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah, I remember, oh goodness, I don't remember the band that it was, but just jumped I think it was probably the only time I got in one. And it was rowdy, as of course they are, but it wasn't like people were doing it out to just hurt each other.
Yeah.
Which is good. I don't know if it's changed since then, because I think I heard horror stories of people that have been in them. Maybe they just didn't know what to expect from it. But it was just like, it was just like it was fun. I'll just put it that. It was fun. Wouldn't do it now, but it was fun.
So we've talked past, we've talked present, we've talked future of Pop Cult X. And so what about our immediate couple weeks that we have here? We've got some special guests lined up so that we can entice some people to come in. We talked about Mr. Trujillo, who will be talking about Blue Beetle. Any of the guests that we can keep our friends aware of?
Well, there's Josh. After that, we have I think we have another different YouTube show podcast that's out there. He's running, his name of the show is called The House of Nerd. So it's a big comic book run show, and that's what he focuses on. His name is Sergio, and he's based in Toronto. So it's going to be really fun chatting comic books with him. And I know they just launched their website recently, so it's going to be cool just catching up with him and see how the Toronto comic book scene is. I'm interested in hearing about that, because I know a lot of creators are actually out there. I think like Chip Zdarsky's out in that area, and a couple others that escape me now, but that should be fun. And after that, I have some tentative, but I don't want to say who they are yet because we haven't sealed the deal yet, so to speak.
Nice. Very cool. So anything that you wanted to talk about recent pop cult news within the last week?
Ooh, hot topics. Let's see. What did I see or watch or do? Been watching the Ted Lasso
on it, right?
What was that?
Blue Beetle trailer.
Blue Beetle trailer, yes. Spider-Man Across the Universe trailer. That's going to shape up to be a great movie. I know there's going to be a part 1 and part 2 to it, but it looks fantastic. The animation looks great. The story, I'm sure, is just going to be fantastic, because it seems like they're trying to hold Miles out from doing something, because I guess in the future they've seen it that he does something bad or something, he causes something, and they're trying to prevent that. So I don't want to say Miguel. Is it Miguel Hara? No,
Miguel.
I don't want to say he's the bad guy in it, but he definitely looks like some sort of antagonist. So
yeah, I'm really hoping he's not the villain, because he's a Latino superhero as well. So I definitely want to see him turn into a villain, unless there's some sort of plot twist. But I'm excited to see Spider-Punk make
nice.
The big screen. Here's what I just picked up today at the comic book shop.
That's cool.
Yeah, Spider-Punk is pretty badass. So I'm excited about all the characters that they're going to be. Jessica Drew, I think, is going to be pregnant. So we're going to see a pregnant spider person. And so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's the other trailer that really got me excited. Is something to look forward to, Blue Beetle and Spider-Verse.
Yeah, and I finished watching the show or the season of Party Down, that the rebooted Party Down, and that was a lot of fun. It was just like picked up right where it left off 12 years ago. Well, it did not right where it left off, but 12 years later.
Right.
But the humor and the writing picked up, like they did seem like they just dove right back into it, and that was a lot of fun. So if you haven't watched Party Down yet, I highly recommend that.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Nice.
yeah, I think that's all I had. I mean, that's all I did. Wasn't really much, I guess, in the scheme of things.
Yeah,
But
I've just been buying more and more comics. Any new movies? I can't really say that I've watched anything recently of note. Or really listen. I've been listening to a lot of old music because I'm really getting, pumped to see the Smashing Pumpkins and Garbage, etc. So I've been listening to some old music from the '90s, but not a lot of new stuff has been grabbing my attention. Probably the most recent thing is probably Miley Cyrus's new album. I've been listening to that a lot. I like
that song "Flowers" is great.
Yeah.
I like that song.
Has a new sound to her voice, new attitude. I think that is pretty fantastic. And then some Taylor Swift kind of sprinkled into there and made it somehow.
I did want to ask you one question, and it just reminded me when you said new sound and new voice. Did you see the set image of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn?
I'm trying not to see it because I don't want anything ruined for me. Okay. So I have seen some images. I don't know what's real, what's fake.
Right.
So I did see one, I think that's like a side profile of Joaquin and her kind of facing, I don't know what they're doing, but they're facing kind of each other. I don't want to see more because I don't want it to get ruined. I want to walk into the theater and like see her for the first time as Harley Quinn and like be kind of blown away.
Okay. Fair enough. I was just going to ask your opinion on it, but you don't have one because you haven't seen it. So
I mean, I'm going to love pretty much anything that Lady Gaga does.
Yeah.
It's almost a given, but I'm really, really trying not to let the previews ruin anything for me. What are your thoughts?
I don't want to say anything. Because I mean, it looked cool. It was basically, I'll set the scene for you. So it was just basically her walking down a set of stairs looking like she was coming out of a courthouse.
Yeah.
Right. So she so that's about it. It didn't look like she was in full-blown Harley Quinn get up yet. Like she hasn't made that transition maybe to the character.
Yeah.
As we know her, right? But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I really do enjoy Lady Gaga as an actor, singer, and performer. So I know she's going to commit to it 100%, 120%. So it's going to be a great film. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm a huge fan of Todd Phillips too. So
yeah, I mean, the Joker film was amazing. So
yeah,
really high expectations for this iteration of it.
Yep. The Mandalorian's been good. I enjoy it. I mean, it's been getting a lot of heat for them saying that, oh, Mandalorian doesn't know what it wants to be, what kind of show, whatnot. But I'm just thinking, you know what? It's Star Wars content. Why are we knocking it? Just enjoy it, right? So
just take what you can get and enjoy it, damn it.
Exactly. And that goes for a lot of things where people like complain about stuff because it doesn't fit their version of it. But I keep thinking to myself, is like, it doesn't even have to be there. You might not get nothing. And then what are you going to do? Cry about that? So just enjoy what you get and just, revel in that. But that's to each his own.
Yeah.
I think that wraps up 100 then. 100 episodes in the bag. Boom. Drop the mic, walk away.
Here's to another 100, hopefully.
Yeah, here's to another 100. Out there, everyone, thank you for your continued support. We look forward to hopefully entertaining you for another 100 episodes. So look for bigger and better things coming, and we will see you guys